Good afternoon, and welcome to Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things. I hope you guys are having a great day today. It's Tuesday, May 10th, and boy, do you see how warm it is outside today? 80-something years. It's just amazing with this weather that we're having. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in today. I hope you guys are outside mowing the lawn or doing gardening or putting your patio furniture back out or just going out for a while. I took a walk with the dog this morning. I do that every morning, and it's just a beautiful day. Just getting ready to get into that warmer months, which we definitely need because we've been cold and stuff for a long time. Welcome to Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things, Monday through Friday at noon. A little lunchtime fun. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Every show is dedicated to the first responders, always. The nurses, the doctors, the firemen, the policemen, the military, everybody that's out there, the teachers, the farmers, the Marines, just everybody working hard and doing things for our country and for us, man. And especially, it's dedicated to people like you that keep tuning in today and or watch it later on at night, and I do appreciate very much. There's the website, TonyOceanMusic.com, 847-769-8609 to book a show. We really do appreciate it very much, folks. If you can, right now, we got a great guest on today. My good buddy, Richie Sorcy will be on the show from the Cave Dwellers, and he's got a lot to talk about his new two movie projects he's doing. We're going to talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We're going to talk about the Illinois Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We're going to talk about a lot of good stuff here. So make sure you're tuning in today. We're having a lot of fun. So let's get to our sponsors if we can, folks. Let's not forget Roy McCampbell Group. That's right, Roy McCampbell, attorney at law, a statewide law practice that is client-focused and results-driven. That's right, man. If you're looking for a good and honest lawyer, my good buddy Roy McCampbell, 708-275-4264. And let's not forget our good buddies from Deutsche Power Center. They're right out of Elgin, Illinois. They've been sponsors from day one of the show. So for servicing construction and diesel industry in the area, folks, give my buddy Sal a call. They've been in business for over 100 years. 224-276-6550. That's Deutsche Power Center. Folks, don't forget also you can check us out on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can also see the show at the Tony Ocean Show page, Facebook page, Mocarara page, on Twitter, and on YouTube. Don't forget Don Esteban Cigars, man. Go out and get those hand-rolled cigars. They're delivered right to your home. You don't even have to leave to go to the store. You can get the Tony Ocean kind or get your own that you like, because now it's the time, man. You'll be out there. It's warmer, smoking out on the deck, smoking outside, just having a lot of fun. Golf is starting. So 727-366-7536. Tell them Tony O sent you. You get a great deal, my friends, that I promise you. And Trico Hair Experts right out of Rosemont, Illinois, recreating great hair days. Antonio, Anthony, and of course, Carmela from Rosemont, Illinois. They're local, so shop local, man. This is it. Trico, 773-999-7888. Men, don't be afraid. Get it done. All right, so we have a lot to talk about today, folks. So let's get started. Showtime.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things. And now, your host, Mr. Tony Ocean.
Thank you, Nelson, and welcome to Ocean's Pit. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We got a great show for you guys lined up today. My guest coming on very shortly, Chicago veteran, been around a long time and played in so many different bands. My good buddy, Richie Sorcy. That's right, folks. He'll be on the show from the Cave Dwellers. We're going to have him on in a couple minutes. But let's just say, again, recap. Thank you again. I cannot begin to thank you all the love and the outpour that you gave my future son-in-law, Eric Moriarty, who's doing better and better every day. You know, he had a heart attack and all that. I don't want to repeat the story because you guys have probably heard it a million times. But I do want to thank you all for the texts and the calls and the emails, and all your responses on Facebook was just fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Yesterday, they finally moved him into his own room. So that's a great sign. They took care of I told you yesterday, day before, they took off the decanter. They took away his feeding tube. And the doctor said it was the first time that anybody that he's seen as a doctor in his business to take the feeding tube out that quick. And I think because of him being 25 years old, I think that's probably the reason why it's going to be a haul, of course, 6 to 8 recovery once he goes home. But Eric out there, we all love you and thank you. I just miss you, brother. Get better. We'll see you more. And of course, my lovely daughter, she's a rock right next to him and has not left his side, argued and complained with the nurses. I want to be near my future husband. And you know what? That's a soulmate right there. And that's, I'm sure, what has kept him more positive. And of course, my wife was there, making sure everything was okay. She's a saint as well. So that's good on that. And then, of course, we broke some news yesterday. My wife, of course, one of her best friends, Barb, for many, many years. I mean, they're one of the best friends, And then Mother's Day morning, she goes to wake up her daughter who was staying overnight. And she was found dead in the morning. So crazy. And then my buddy George Tark III was cancer had some cancer. And, I talked to him on Thursday. He was doing okay. But I talked to his nurse, Terry, who's a good friend of ours, and said George probably didn't realize how sick he was or probably didn't want to believe how sick he was. But I miss him and I love him. And Mary Tark, if you're out there, sweetie, I love you and give my best to George. Daryl, Armanstad, the professor, Peter, Gary Bryn, what's up? All the way from Scottsdale, Arizona. What's up, my buddy Gary? And welcome to Ocean's Pit. Anthony Napolitano, Michelle, thank you guys so much. Peter Caliendo, thank you guys so much for your texts and stuff like that. Laurie, how you doing, hon? Thank you, Laurie, for your prayers. Lisa, thank you so much. And praise to God is absolutely right. So we got a great show lined up for you guys today. Just, guys, to let you know now, tonight we start our rehearsals with the Chicago Hitman. That's Nick Sahaj's band, folks. Getting ready for my 30th anniversary party show. 30 years in the business. It's going to be Sunday, May 29th at the Des Plaines Theater. Show starts at 3 o'clock till 5. Then we have the after party with my new rock band, Mojo's Jukebox. So let me just give you a little rundown of what's going to happen for that particular show. If you're coming Sunday, May 29th to the Des Plaines Theater, Ron Onesti's new Des Plaines Theater, here's what you're going to get. The Chicago Hitmen, incredible band. Four horns. We got 2 keyboard players, the great Daryl Armanstad from the Main Event Band playing strings and stuff, and Nick Sahaj's, of course. Chris Minardi on guitar, John Erst on bass. We got a lot of Big Jack. Love Jackie Scallion on drums. So we have a great crew. Almost the same band from St. Jude. So I'm excited to have that group there. Then we have as guests that are going to be on the coming to perform with me. Everybody's good doing the duets with me. That's how it's going to be. It's all going to be duets with me, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And we have the great, talented Diva Montel, Kim Peterson LaFew, Regina Karma. Those are just 3. My sister Tanya making her singing debut there. Now, you've seen her maybe through the years at my shows, but this time she's going to be there with a live band. Everything is going to be really cool. Then we got, of course, Ocean's Rat Pack, Bill Saratella and Elliot Winbush. Frank and Sammy will be joining me. Then we got Jack D'Amico, the original Frank, in our Chicago Rat Pack show, which ran downtown and was managed by Ron Onesti for many, many years. Jack D'Amico will be making an appearance. Matt Cassane, funny man Matt Cassane will be there. The Jersey Girls, all 3 of them. Moe's Dream Police, Cheap Trick will be there, the tribute band. I'm excited to have them guys. My new rock band, Mojo's Jukebox, is doing the after party. Babies, John Waite, all that good stuff from the 70s and 80s. I'm excited about that. We also have John Vincent. John Vincent is one of the great singers in the Chicagoland area. Of course, he does the national anthem for the Chicago Cubs every all the home games, and he's been my friend. We sold out the House of Blues 2 or 3 times in the past 10 years or so. The great John Vincent will be joining us. And all 3 Joyzy girls, all 3 Joyzy girls will be there as well. So I'm humbled and honored to have these people. And, of course, Master of Ceremonies, who just celebrated a birthday, my good friend for over 35 years, the great Ron Onesti. It's going to be Sunday, May 29th at the Des Plaines Theater. Show starts at 3 to 5. Tickets, oshows.com. And don't forget Mike and Tracy from Good, Clean Fun, baby. What do we got? Mark, Chris Minardi. How you doing, buddy? See you tonight. Albert, Danny, my good buddy from Hardcore Italians. And congratulations to Hardcore Italians for winning the Humanitarian Friendship Award. The National Italian Convention, they won it. Congratulations, Michael and the crew. Go to Hardcore Nation, Hardcore Italian Chicago, and like the Facebook page. It's a great group to belong. My question for Rick, who is the composer of Swanny River? Mikey, the Brock man. I'm going to see Mike and Tracy this Sunday. Let me tell you what I got going on this week before we bring my good buddy Richie on. All right. Tomorrow we'll be at Avanzare in Lombard. Now, that's a 5:30 show. Joe Dex, what's up, my brother? Hope you're doing well. Avanzare with Jerry Jams this Wednesday. That's tomorrow, 5:30. Thursday, we'll be at Positano's in Oak Brook. Sold out again. We're going to be there with Rhino Ryan, the return of Ryan, and the incredible voice of Lisa P. That's Thursday. Friday, Chicago Prime Steakhouse. Saturday and Sunday, 2 nights at Ron Onesti's Club Arcada Speakeasy. Saturday, we'll be there with the main event band, Daryl Armenstad, Tony Toto, Danny Ramonde. That's going to be this Saturday. And then Sunday, we'll be there for Sinatra Sunday with Jerry Jams at 4 o'clock. Peter Noon is playing, and my good buddy Mike and Tracy Goofing Fun is opening for Peter. And I'm going to hopefully go down there and get to meet him again. I met him years ago, and I made him sign one of his solo records, one of the Glory Boys, which came out back in the 80s. And it was like a pop rock song. Probably normal Peter Noon fans probably wouldn't care for that record because he tried to be like new wave-ish, like pop, but I thought it was fantastic. He also did Peter Noon and the Tremblers, which is another new wave band that he did. So I bought both of those records. Everybody in line, it was Schaumburg Fest, if I remember. Everybody in line with Herman records, and I had these two, and I walked up to him and I go, Peter, I love your stuff. Can you sign to one of the Glory Boys? He looked at this, and he looked at the guy next to him. He goes, oh, see, you're the one who bought this record. But I love supporting all my bands. And after they left the bands, I would go out and get all their solo records. I've always done that, and I've always been a fan. So it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of good stuff happening this week. I'm also, Mo's Dream Police will be kicking off Bobby Hits' Rumble in the Jungle. That's right. Howard Cosell here, folks. Saturday night, June 18th, the Rosemont Theater. We're there right side with the Rosemont. Bobby Hits Production presents Rumble in Rosemont. And that's right. And Mo's Dream Police will be kicking that off from 6 to 7 with the Dream Police. Then I'll be at the Speakeasy that night. So that's going to be June 18th. For tickets for that boxing match, go to hitsboxing.com. June 19th. Mojo's Jukebox and Sean Cassidy, Do Run. I already opened for David. I've opened for the Bay City Rollers. I've opened for a lot of the bubblegum guys. So Mojo's Jukebox and Sean Cassidy. That's going to be very cool. A lot of good stuff. Coming up next week on the 18th, we'll be at Manny's in Elmhurst next Wednesday. Next Thursday, Port Edwards and Algonquin. Next Saturday, Champions, brand new place in Plainfield, Illinois. I did not know that about Plainfield, Illinois. And when I go to a new place, I never played in Plainfield. So when I go to a new place, I always try to figure out what's new. I've been in Plainfield, I did Italian Fest 20 years ago. There was a restaurant that was in a church, and they had Italian Fest out in the parking lot. So I try to find out stuff about Plainfield. I didn't realize at that time, when I did my research, Plainfield is the headquarters for the Ku Klux Klan. Who knew? See what happens. You'll always find information here on Lisa. How you doing? Gary and I went to Niles High School together in class of 1967. Ed Norton, Nancy, is the answer. That's right. Who wrote Swanny River? All right. So before we bring up my buddy, also our next live remote, people asking, Tony, when and your wife going to go out and do the live remotes? Now, we used to do 2 a month to different restaurants. We used to do Ocean Spit live from all the restaurants, and the restaurants would give the first 10 people a $10 gift card. Well, we're going to make a new one. We're coming out, folks, June 16th at Cousins Bar and Grill in Roselle. It's going to be great. Me and Laura will be making a live remote, Ocean Spit. First 10 people get a gift card of $10. That pays for your lunch right there and get some booze. Dino and Peter do a great job. The food is outstanding. We were just there for Mother's Day. That's going to be Cousins, a Thursday. Write it down. We got more information coming out Thursday, June 16th at Cousins. All right. So without any further ado, my friend, we've all known of each other. Like the one thing about Ocean's Pit Show, I'm going to have to admit that I've always heard of different people, but I never got to meet people or friends people, people that have been in the business a long time. When I'm working all the time, it's hard to go see other acts. So when I opened Ocean's Pit and I started to meet different people, and I became friends with different people. Albert and so many other people, Provenzano, and Rich is one of the guys with the cave dwellers, and him and Bruce and everybody, and we became friends. And he comes and sees me, and he supports local establishments. He goes out all the time. Plus, he's busy performing as hell with his own stuff that he's doing. So we had him on the show. We had the cave dwellers on the show at one time, and it was great having them. All the history of rock and roll in Chicago and talking about great stuff. But then we were talking. I just seen him not too long ago. Last week, I think he came out with Danny, and they came out to Chicago Prime Steakhouse. And I'm always looking for something new. And he goes, I got 2 movie projects I'm doing. I go, whoa, wow, cool. A lot of people might not know that. So instead of me talking to shit, let's talk to my buddy Richie and bring him on. My good friend, ladies and gentlemen, actor, Italiano, with the Cave Dwellers. Fantastic singer, great guy, folks. And he's a great musician, too, and he does a lot of good stuff. So he's going to talk about some stuff that he's got going on. Then we're going to keep him on the show if he doesn't mind. We're going to talk about the rest of the stuff that we got for this hour, see what he thinks. So without any further ado, Richie Sorcy, let's bring him on. Richie, are you there, my friend?
I'm doing really great. Thank you. And you can call me Rick, please.
Richie, okay, or Rich? What do you like better?
I prefer Rick.
Okay, there you go. See that? Most of my Italian friends, I don't call any of my Italian friends Rich. You're the first one. So, all right. So here it is for you. Rich, how are you doing, my friend, first of all?
First of all, I'm doing pretty well. I'm pretty busy and a lot of things going on. Appreciate you taking interest in all these local acts and musicians. You bring them on your show and you promote them. I think that's really great. And I think
it's important.
It's one of the reasons I like to go out and see a lot of different people, including yourself.
Well, thank you for that. Look, and I like to bring people on because some people might have heard of bands or might have seen the name of something. But, I like to find out a little bit about the people themselves. People just said, oh, I like me. Oh, I know Tony when he sings, but do you know Tony at home? Or do you know Tony like this? And this is, we get to find out what we're doing. Music business, you've been out there, Rich. Is it, you see crowds again in your shows? Is people kind of still a little leery out there, or are they still gun-ho? And because on my end, they're out there, they don't give a shit. I'm talking about other ends. How is it at Cave Dwellers and other shows that you see around the Chicagoland area?
Well, we played at Danny's Pub and Grill in Naperville a couple weeks ago, and there was any seats available. It was totally full. We expect the same kind of crowd on June 4th at Dunkley's Tavern in Addison. We expect a very big crowd. So there's interest in our band. I think we're on pretty good, and people remember us from way back when. And we're a fun group. We play garage rock and the tunes from the 60s and 70s, and a lot of songs that other bands don't do.
Well, Rick, I know that you do a lot of different great stuff. When you're talking to me also about this movie stuff that you're doing, what's up with that? First of all, how did that all come about? Did you always have an acting bug, or somebody came up to you? How did that work?
Actually, a friend of mine, Ed Fogel, who I met as a musician, we reconnected after about 20, 30 years. And he said that he had Chicago Actors Studio over on Elston and the Armitage. And he says, why don't you come in and take a few classes? And so he gave me a scholarship. And I had a little bit of an acting bug. And so from 2015 until about 2020, when COVID hit, I've been studying at his studio, which I learned quite a bit. And I got a few films out of it, like student films and independent films. And then a friend, Carl Amari, who's got his own radio show, he offered Ed and I a part in the Breathe Bible. And that was with Ashley Judd and John Rice Davies, Kevin Sorbo. So I got a taste of the big time on an audio Bible, and I was in quite a bit of it. So, I got the bug, and I got a call from John Wesley Norton, who's really becoming one of the top writers and producers and directors the Chicago area, and he's probably going to be going nationwide because he's won so many awards with his most recent film called For Hannah. That's FOR Hannah, and it's on the Amazon Prime, and it's a great film. It has a lot of the outstanding local talent like Shannon Brown and Bruce Spielbauer, several actors of that ilk. And so I got a chance to do his film Never Stop Talking. And
Okay.
I did.
And what are you playing? What do you do in that film?
So I'm playing a billionaire, Radcliffe Think the Third. So I come in. It's a comedy, and I'm on the radio talk show Talking Tech with Tina, and Ruth Kaufman gives a great performance as Tina, and she's a lady who doesn't know anything about tech, but she's got her own radio show. It's a real funny film, and then. John Norton gave me a chance to be in his latest one that we're doing right now. It's called The Dream Ledger. It's a horror film, and
cool.
It's a lot of really good talent, including Shannon Brown again, and Bruce Spielbauer, Katrina Devine, Kayla Myers, a lot of Harold Dennis, a lot of great Chicago talent.
And there really is a lot of great Chicago talent.
There really is.
There really is. And some of your friends all want to say hi to you. Of course, Mike from Good Clean Fun. Let's have another great guitar player, James Paul Lynch, of course, says hello from American English, and Rick Lindy. Bob Abrams says hello, Mr. Buckingham's, and his own show that he does when he was with the Buckingham. So everybody says hi. Danny, of course. I got some other stuff here on you, Rick. Baseball. Tell me about baseball here. I didn't realize this, that you were a good baseball player. That's fantastic. How long were you playing baseball? How long did you do that?
I played baseball. I tried out in high school at Niles West my freshman year, and then I got cut. So I didn't make the team, and I just gave it up. But then when I turned 40, I was doing a story on Randy Hundley and his fantasy camps, and he gave me a chance to have a free entry at Wrigley Field in their mini camp. And it was kind of fun. Baseball was fun again, and it's older guys. And I got to pitch on the mound at Wrigley Field. I walk in the batter's box, and there's Fergie Jenkins pitching and Randy Hundley. And I'm like, wait a minute, I had to step out of the box. But
you had to pinch yourself for a minute, because I'm not a Cubs fan, but when you're talking about those guys with the Cubs. And that's just like it. You know who comes and sees us a lot at Chicago Prime? Randy Hundley. He was there maybe 2 months ago. He's a sweet man.
Yep. So I started playing baseball. I got to be playing on the national level for my age group, the 55 and overs, and then also. Hold on one second here. I'm losing you.
Kind of lost you here, Rick. Your picture. I hear your voice. I just don't see your picture anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Hang on one second. I'm sorry.
Let's get you back on there. Hi, Laurie. How you doing? Carol, Mike. Oh, he's back. My question for Rick. Is it true? Here we go. Mike, is it true that you fired Chris Minardi from the Cave Dwellers? This was from Mike busting your chops. Okay. It's nice in the afternoon to bust people's chops in the afternoon.
I got to tell you.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
I have made so many friends since coming to the music community in 2014. I had retired from the music business completely in 1991. And I don't know, I just didn't enjoy it anymore. I had a couple bad experiences. And then a couple of friends of mine, Paul Mermel and Ken Horsey, both of whom have passed away, had given me a chance to come up and play drums in their band, and I just kind of got the bug back, and it was so many different things that happened, and then I reconnected with Gary Goldberg and the Cave Dwellers, and Then Bruce Gordon came back, and when the three of us, three original cave dwellers, and we just decided to start making some music again, and it was really fun.
Well, I loved when I had you guys on the show, and let's go kudos to Ronnie Rice and Bruce Gordon, who was just put into the Illinois Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Congratulations to them, which is very cool. But what I'm trying to say is what you've been doing is so good, and playing drums. Now, when you're growing up, and I think I asked you when you were on the show too, Rick, at one time, Beatles or Stones? What was your choice, or both?
Well, the Beatles broke my mother's heart. I was a trumpet player. I was second chair in high school and junior high, and she spent all this money on trumpet lessons, and I was pretty decent. But then when the Beatles came along, it wasn't cool to play trumpet. No offense to any of the trumpet players. It just
Sure.
And so I started to play drums, and I loved it. It was just so much fun.
And seeing Ringo, man, I mean, what a drummer. And being a drummer yourself, people think, well, that stuff is easy. It's not. It's very hard to play the way he plays because is he left. Rick, how does he do that? How does he get the Ringo sound?
I've sort of modeled myself after him. I know I may not have the reputation for being a flashy drummer, and I don't care. I put into the song what it needs, and that's what Ringo does. He just puts in. He's not trying to do all kinds of stuff, and
right.
He plays what the song needs, and then when you're trying to play drums and sing, you got so many things going on. Both your feet, both your hands, and you're singing, and you're trying to stay on tune, on key. So I mean, there's a lot going on there. So to try to be Keith Moon wouldn't serve me very well.
Well, you know what? It was the same also as Charlie Watts. Charlie was right in the pocket.
Right.
I mean, look at Dave Clark with the Dave Clark 5. He's a drummer. I mean, he did what he does. I always believe the same thing, and I'm not a drummer, but I believe the drummer's there to keep the beat with everybody. I mean, to do all these other crazy things like they do. I know in the 80s and this, when they had, or the late 70s with Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and they had the Rush and all that. I never got into that stuff, because of that kind of music. But
when I came back, I met Andy Trippy, who plays drums with Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones, and Andy
was my drummer for many years. Yes, great guy.
We started off as one of the nicest guys, and a great drummer. And he worked with me a bit to get it back, and he just said you got to be in the pocket, and you got to really hit that snare drum, and so he gave me the confidence that I needed to get back on track.
Well, you know what? And it's nice it's just nice. That's why I always liked my favorite music that I still listen to this day is British Invasion. And I love the power pop stuff. That's just me. I mean, and I listen to it every day. I'm still cranking my 70s. Like I love Slade. I love the Raspberries. I love Cheap Trick, of course, all the power pop bands. And of course, the British Invasion bands were unbelievable. But the music business at one particular time, I think when you were on the show, we talked, there were so many bands that got record deals in the Chicagoland area and made some great records.
Yeah.
And then it looks like after and I don't know if it was in the 70s and 80s, every band was getting these record deals, whether they got somewhere or not, but everybody was getting signed. Chrysalis was signing everybody. And of course you had Off Broadway, you have Pez, you have so many other bands that came out. And then there's so many great bands that still came out of Chicago. I never even realized that I was doing some history on Warren Zevon, which I think is a fantastic entertainer and singer. I love his songwriting. I didn't realize he was born in Chicago.
I didn't know.
See that? It's kind of
I
crazy.
didn't remember him when I was younger, but some of the bands were lucky. They got a break and they got to be national. Ronnie Rice, who's going to the Hall of Fame, is so deserving.
Absolutely.
He wrote and sang "I Will Always Think About You" with the New Colony Six. That is one of the greatest songs, one of the greatest ballads. And
it's still one of the greatest. Absolutely. I'm surprised no one else has ever covered it and did something else with it as well, because it's an incredible song.
And Bruce Gordon is also going in with the New Colony Six with Ronnie. Very deserving. Bruce was the most in-demand bass player back in our era, back in the 60s and 70s. Everybody wanted Bruce Gordon. That was the first name whenever there was a band forming or somebody big, they wanted Bruce Gordon, and he deserves this whole thing.
Well,
So,
you know what? I came up with a couple things here, Rick, and I'd love to get your opinion on some of this stuff now. Rolling Stone magazine, of course, been around for many, many years, came up with the first top 4 best guitar riffs. And I want you to tell me what you think. All right.
Okay.
Number 4, Smoke on Water by Deep Purple. Number 3, Whole Lotta Love by Led Zeppelin. Number 2, Smells Like Teen Spirit, if I'm correct, by Nirvana. And number 1, Sweet Child of Mine. Would you agree on that? Any of those?
Yeah, I think they're all very good. With certain songs, you hear the beginning, like Smoke on the Water. It's like right away you're getting into it. The guitar riff in the beginning. So I was listening to Joe Walsh yesterday, and
Fantastic.
I'm trying to think now. I'm drawing a blank on the song. Taking my time, choosing my lines. I forgot.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was thinking.
Did you do that? Did you do that with James Gang? Right? Seems to me, whatever that was. Yeah, great stuff.
But anyway, when you hear the beginning guitar on that, it's like right away you're like, you got, they have your attention, and so there's a lot of songs like that when you start out, and you hear that riff in the beginning, and it's like right away you're like nodding your head, you're getting along with the beat.
I think Smoke on Water might have been like the first song I remember when I was 17. I joined the band. That was like the first song that all the guys learned. It was like one of the first tunes. You know what I mean? You in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Rick. You've been to. You know that when people every year, it's the 2022 nominees came up, and it's always been a wonder and why some bands are in there and why some bands are not. Look at the list of this year. Tell me what you think.
Okay.
Dolly Parton in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. When she was nominated, she said that she didn't want to be in it. But then after she said she wants to be in it. I love Dolly Parton for what she does, but she's not rock and roll.
Right.
Lionel Richie is not rock and roll. Eminem is not rock and roll. Pat Benatar, rock and roll. Okay. She deserves to be in there. All right. I agree with that. But I mean, it's just Duran Duran. Don't think so. Eurythmics, they were nominated. Carly Simon was nominated in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I love Carly Simon. She wrote some great songs. Harry Belafonte this year put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Rick.
Oh, he was a guitarist with the Rolling Stones. So.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Look at it. Jerry Jams and Terry Lewis, the big rap guys that started that rap stuff. Judas Priest is probably the only, them and probably the real, that and Pat Benatar are the only two that are really, really rock and roll. Why do you think, Rick, that some bands get put in and some don't? Do you think it's political, or do you think that, I mean, some bands should be in there? I just look how long it took Cheap Trick to get in there, and that was the fans that got him nominated.
Right. Same with Chicago.
Okay.
There's people that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like Madonna. I mean, the closest thing she had to a rock song was, what is it? God, I'm losing my mind now, getting older.
But when you think Madonna, you don't think rock and roll.
No, you don't think rock and roll.
Right.
And all these other acts that you're talking about, they don't belong in there. It's a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's not. Why would you put in Harry Belafonte? I mean, he had pop hits, but it's not rock and roll. And I think that they should maybe have a wing for people that they want to put in, but not in the rock and roll part of it.
Well, and I agree with you. And Rich Hamlin, a great guy who watches the show all the time. Richard, how you doing? Came up, changed the name to the Music Hall of Fame. And it would make it a lot different. Music Hall of Fame, then it would be anybody who does music, fine, that's great. But let's be honest, could Guns N' Roses win in the Country Hall of Fame?
Not likely.
Not likely. Exactly. It's just a little crazy what's going on in the music business. And you know what? Like like Rick, let's be honest. Now you get a guy out there that's trying to make a living in music or as a songwriter or something. Before there was the label, and the label did this, and now labels don't do anything for record people anymore. These new talent shows that are out there, these American Idols and stuff. I mean, if you're not like, between 19 and 23 and have that perfect kind of look, you ain't going anywhere. And if you ever noticed, after they win, you never hear from them. I mean, the first season, I think, when they won, you got the big deal and stuff. But some of the, I don't know, it's just crazy. Where does younger generation people do to get noticed now? I know social media, but what do they do?
My opinion is a lot of people don't like the music out today. I think a lot of the older people, especially, they're still in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, maybe some in the 90s. But the music out today, most of the people I talk to about it just think it's crap. So no offense
to it. It is crap. I mean, that's why, Rick, that's why songs that you guys are doing and songs that I'm doing are 30, 50 years old, 30, and people are they're still on the radio. There's still people still love them. The songs, of no disrespect to Justin Timberlake and that stuff, but 40 years from now, they're not going to have K-Tel's greatest hits of these artists. And I just don't understand it. But look, when we were growing up and I was a Pistols fan and a Ramones fan and listening to the punk, and people thought, what are you, crazy? Or when Elvis came in and it kind of shocked the music world, for the people, what is this guy? And when the Beatles came, look at these guys with the long hair. Who are these people? You know what I mean? Every generation's got something, but at least there was good music. There's no good music now.
No, I think the Beatles came along it just at the right time. People were listening to Elvis and Ricky Nelson and Bobby Rydell, and there's nothing wrong with those guys, Frankie Avalon, but it was nobody. Right. I mean, the Beach Boys had a couple of tunes out, and they were kind of cool. But then when the Beatles hit, it was just like a whole different feeling. And the British invasion, the one after another came across the pond, and they were just knocking it out, going on the Ed Sullivan Show, the Rolling Stones, the Searchers, Animals. I mean, all these really good bands, and everybody was captured by it.
I mean, look at the Hollies alone, just on their harmonies alone.
What a great band!
They're a great band. Even the Kinks. The Kinks were great, and another great band that the two brothers I heard are talking. Ray and Dave Davies are talking. They might. Because they never really broke up, the Kinks, but they might do something. I think it's time to come out and do something after many years, but they just don't have it anymore. But and even in the 70s and the 80s, when that punk and new wave came in, people were just sick and tired of the progressive rock and roll jams and long guitar solos. And they went back to the basic, and they came up with the basic pop song, and they turned it into a little punk and made a little more harder edge,
The Hollies, Alan Clark was the lead singer in the band, and that guy is so vastly underrated. He is so great. And Ray Davies, another one. He wrote so many good songs, and he's kind of funny in concert. They'll play a few songs, and then he'll go into the beginning of Lola, and everybody's getting all excited, and he goes, you're not ready for it yet. He does it a couple times, and then he finally, near the end of the show, plays Lola, and the crowd goes crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just so many really great groups. People tell me and my wife Kathleen that we're stuck in the 60s and 70s, and I'm fine with that. So,
I'm fine with that too, because anything from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, I did not listen to music after the 80s. I couldn't tell you anything from the 90s. I mean, I heard of the bands, but I never listened to their music. I mean, there is some decent band. Like I know Chris Minardi was naming a few here. Band of Horses, I heard, wasn't bad. I mean, they're not bad. My Morning Jacket, Weezer, I thought was good in the 90s and 2000, but I just not me. Or even this country music that I love. Now let's just go back with the country music for me. I love old country, 70s, 60s, 50s country. That's what I love. I love those stars and that music. This new stuff to me is just pop, and I don't know why they just don't call it pop. Just because they put an electric, a steel guitar solo does not make it a country song. You know what I mean?
It's to me, the old guys like Marty Robbins
Yes.
and Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash, Glenn Campbell, Ronnie Millsap, Charlie Rich. I mean, the list goes. Charlie Pride even had some great country stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great artists.
Once again, I'm stuck in the 60s and, in partly in the 50s with some of those guys. But again, it's the music I love. I mean, today, country music to me is just electric guitars and drums, and it all sounds the same.
I mean, you got a lot of royalty watching today. You got the great Dean Milano, you got Joe Catafio, great guy, all great musicians and legends in the Chicagoland area. I'm honored to have all these guys watching the show. I've had them on the show, and you guys just bring so much to the Chicagoland that people don't realize. It's so much fun and joy. I got to sing with Joe a month back, and I got to sing back up at the St. Jude's benefit for Jimmy Sands and singing Gloria and Mojo Rising. I just think it's the coolest thing, man. And yes, maybe we are a little, how would you say, maybe not so open-minded with some new stuff, but we try. I mean, I try listening to stuff. You know, my kids are playing some new stuff I listen to. I just don't get it. I try. I just don't get it. You know, yeah. I don't know.
There's a lot of great guys, great singers and musicians. Chris Minardi is great. Joe Smith on drums. The guy is so good.
Yes. And I mean,
so many really
fantastic. You know what?
Yeah, singers.
It's great stuff, and we're lucky to be around it. But you know what? I'd love to have you on the show, Rick. But let's talk about something I forgot, and I think mentioned it before. But another accomplishment that you had 30 years with the Chicago Tribune.
No, I had 30 years with Baseball Digest magazine.
Yeah, but okay, but think about that though. I mean, that's a big accomplishment in itself. I mean, you had what'd you do? Come up with different stories every day? What kind of magazine? How did that work? I mean, what was your daily routine in that job?
In 1991, I was freelancing for Baseball Digest, and John Kenster was the editor, and he would take a freelance story from me and publish it. And then I saw one time in 1991, he had Will Clark in this feature, the baseball player profile. So I went into his office and I said, "Are you going to do this every month?" He goes, "No, it's just going to be from time to time." I said, "Could I have that feature? I'll do it every month, and I'll give you an article every month." And so I went on. He gave me a chance, and I was interviewing Reggie Jackson and Johnny Bench and Roger Clemens, Albert Pujols, all these guys in their prime. And I even got to meet and interview Mike Trout. And
there's a baseball player that's so underrated. Now people don't even know who he is. And because he's on a team that's not that popular, Mike Trout is probably one of the greatest baseball players. I mean, come on, look at this guy. He's unbelievable.
If he was playing with the Yankees, he would be like the greatest thing.
He would be a star. He'd be huge. What about this couple things that we're going to talk about? You're watching Ocean Spit, the little show about big things, everybody. My buddy Rick Sorcy, everybody here from the Cave Dwellers, and he's on the show today. Let's not forget a couple of sponsors. We have tomorrow, actually, is Wednesday. We got my good buddy Richie Vea, who's from Vienna Hot Dogs out of all the way from Chandler, Arizona, talking about the new stuff that he's doing out there. Here was a guy that he worked in Chicago with the movie stations downtown, making the movies and television shows. He was doing that stuff for many years. Got sick of the business, took his money out of his bank, and drove to Chandler, Arizona, opened a Vienna hot dog stand. And boy, I'm telling you the success he's been having. Anyway, he's going to be on the show. We got Chris Minardi on Friday talking about the 60th anniversary of the Beach Boys. Rick is with us, folks. Let's talk about a quick sponsor, folks. Portillo's, absolutely. We all love Portillo's, folks. Fundraisers, if you're a nonprofit organization looking to get something, may raise some money for your organization, call our son Joe Fank at 224-636-3646 or go to jfank@portillos.com. My good buddy Rick is on. Rick, let's talk about something real fast if we can. Hear about Congress. Congress wants to tax radio stations for playing music. They want to tax the stations for reporting news and reporting weather. Congress is trying to get more money again from everybody. Imagine, I mean, Andy Trippy's watching. How you doing, Andy? What's up, my brother? I hope you're doing well, man. Give my best to Olivia, Mrs. Jones. It's an inside joke. But my last CD I put out, me and Mrs. Jones was Olivia Trippy. And even in the video, Andy was kind enough to be in there. So that was a very nice treat. Thank you, Andrew. Love you, brother. What do you think about that, Rick? Congress taxing the radio stations to play music, to report the news, to report weather, etc.
Oh, that's silly. Why don't we just make gas prices even higher? Then you don't have to worry about the other taxes.
Yeah,
how's that?
It's $5 right now. Just went up another 40 cents, whatever it was.
It's like $70 to fill my car.
$70. See that? And I was in what was it? Harvard, Illinois, last Tuesday. And it was still, I thought it'd be cheaper up there because as you got closer to Wisconsin, it was still $4.70, $4.75, $4.80, $4.89. It's just crazy what's going on in this crazy world that we're living. And back to the first question I asked, I don't even think, I'm sorry because I interrupted you, but do you see the people coming out now? Are they coming out? Is masks still there? Are they people still a little iffy? What's your opinion?
My wife and I went to Nashville about 6 months ago, and nobody was wearing masks. And if you go down Broadway, there's a bar every door, and we didn't see any of that. Up here, we're not seeing any. Very few masks, and I'm glad. I'm so tired of it, and
I'm sick of it too, my friend. I'm sick of it too, Rick. And I don't even see the servers anymore wearing them, or the bartenders anymore wearing them.
I don't know what's going to happen with our country. I don't want to get political or anything.
Right, sure.
I think that there's. I have no idea. I keep telling my wife the only thing that seems to be positive is we're getting older and we don't have to see what's coming. So
yeah,
I don't know,
but you know what?
Maybe that's negative.
I know what you're saying. I feel sorry for the younger generation, my kids, grandkids, just like you said, Rick. But one good thing, if we talk about this many times, when the pandemic and some of us couldn't play out and we were out doing live streams and shit like that, music. Thank God we got music. Thank God music is there, and we can all intertwine with each other. We all come from completely different backgrounds, some of us, and it's just what we always can play one song. We'll hear one song, and it'll bring us all together. And I think that's very important. Music is so universal, and it's just that's why I believe that these old songs, great songs, are still popular now. And look, even the younger generation are getting in. I'm getting more younger people to my gigs, and they're still love the Sinatra shit, and they love and they just love the 70s and the 80s stuff. I mean, the audience went crazy when I do Ballroom Blitz. I mean, was it 76 for the band Sweet, and people still love it. So, I mean, it just goes to show you when you got good music, it just, right. Laurie Crawley said it right. Music saved me. Music saves everybody. Dean Milano says, I'm glad I'm old. There you go. And we're not old. It's just, it's not that. It's just that we're lucky that we've been around, even with my kids. I can't tell you, I can tell you what not to do because I screwed up a lot.
I think we grew up in the right era, 60s, 70s. I think that was the best time to be a teenager or in your 20s. And Roy Orbison. Is there anybody better than Roy Orbison? I mean, the guy, we got to hear that guy and the Beatles and all these other great acts. And but I wanted to do something different, so I've gotten into acting. I'm going to try my hand at plays. There's a new place in St. Charles, Moonlight Theater, that's opening up this summer, and I'm going to be auditioning for some of their productions. And I want to see what it's like performing live as an actor, and I just want to do different things and have fun. And
That's what I like about you, Rick. You're not afraid to go out and try new things, because remember, you were an actor anyway when you're playing drums. So now you're going to be acting in a different way. You know what I mean? And now you're in front of some people, which is fantastic to be able to do. I did some low B movie stuff in the past, and I'd love to get in plays, but unfortunately for Mike, when you got to work, you got to make a living, and sometimes those plays don't pay some of that stuff. But I would love to try out. I mean, I did a bunch of Broadway stuff in school. I did stuff in Frisco and New York. I did some in Chicago. Our play that ran, The Pack is Back, ran for 8 years at Piper's Alley with Ron Onesti producing. So I love to get it back into that. But I admire what you do, because you know what? You always want to try new things, and it's very important to do that. Reinvent yourself.
It's not even for the money. I mean, some of these gigs, we're lucky if we walk away with $62, and
I know.
But I don't care. I don't care about that. I want to do what I love, and I don't know that I'll ever make a big impact in the movies, but if I could be a character actor, which I am, maybe I can work. And directors like John Wesley Norton believe in me, and my fellow actors respect me. It's just so much. It's a lot of fun, and I wanted to say something about John Wesley Norton before
Sure.
we get back into music. He has a movie, I told you, For Hannah, Hannah. It's on Amazon. That has won over 30 awards already in the internet.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It's a full-length feature film, and there's. I'm real excited about Never Stop Talking, but the horror film that we're still filming, the Dream Ledger. Great actors and really a lot of fun. There's so much fun. These people, these actors, who a lot of them I just met. I forgot to add one lady, Addie Martinez. I had met her. I mentioned some of the other ones, but these are all really good actors, and again, in the Chicago area. And it's really fun working with people like that.
Oh, Rick, you also have yourself another community now. You have the music community, and now you're going into another community that you've had all these years, and that's a whole more people to connect with, and more openings and more things, and that's what I mean by reinventing yourself. And talking about music, from a look at this, 40 years ago today, Jim Peterick came out with "Eye of the Tiger." Do you remember where you were when you first heard that, Rick?
I was in Florida, actually. I was at my cousin's house, and I remember that I heard that song, was like, wow, that is really good.
Isn't that cool? Also, 40 years ago today, a Working Class Hero. The record came out with Jesse's Girl with Rick Springfield. Yep. Of course, people think Rick Springfield, a heartthrob and all that. Okay, do you realize back before he was in a band called Zoot, and he was like one of the #1 guitar players in Australia. And he couldn't make it in the States, and he got on that stupid soap opera, General Hospital, Dr. Noah Drake, and it skyrocketed his career. But that's another song when they hear dun 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 dun, the crowd goes ballistic. It's just like Eye of the Tiger. And even like 38 years ago, they said the Traveling Wilburys all got together. Imagine if those guys imagine George Harrison calling, hey, you got Jeff Lynne, Roy Orbison, Tom Petty, Bob Dylan. I mean, come on. And they made just to get together and jam with your good friends and putting out records. And it's just amazing. Too bad they never toured. That would be very cool. Yeah, I've seen that.
Jeff Lynne is amazing. It's
Jeff.
He was the mastermind behind Electric Light Orchestra, ELO. Yes. We saw him a couple times with his Jeff Lynne's ELO. It's just fabulous.
And he does great producer. Produced George, produced Tom Petty.
Oh, yeah.
He produced a lot of great groups. Being a Beatle fan, Rick, and two things, I mean, of course, it will never happen. At the time, though, in the 70s and 80s, or before John Lennon was shot, do you think that at one time the Beatles would have got back together?
I would like to think so. I would like to think that there'd be some big project that they would want to be involved with, or they would be invited and they would put something together.
Well, you know, if it was a couple years earlier, before Anthology came out, before they did the TV show, and then they did the whole new music with Jeff Lynne producing those two unfinished John Lennon songs. According, I remember watching, if I heard correct, I said John would have loved to have been part of that. That would have been that kind of a reunion. I don't think they'd play live, but they would have done something, like you said, a TV special or something, a one-time deal type thing, you know?
Let It Be that came out.
Yes.
The documentary is so good. And you're seeing them in their element. You're seeing them in the studio. You're seeing how they put together their songs. They're making up words. They got a little idea what they want to do musically, and they just start saying words and trying to make them rhyme. And they have somebody in the studio writing down the words. And it was kind of fun to watch how they actually did their business.
Yeah, you're right about that. And then, you know what? It was interesting. I mean, if you think about that, Rick, it got so bad that Ringo was the first to quit. It got so bad in that time. Ringo said, hell with it, I'm leaving. So what did it tell you how bad it was that tension during that time?
Well, they're under a lot of pressure too to put out. How do you follow Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band? I mean, you got to really put together some music, and some groups make it on their first album because it's a compilation of all their really good stuff that they had for years. And then when it came to the second album, now what do we do? You know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure to stay on top.
And then, you know, and of course, when they did all their solo careers afterwards, if I was to pick my favorite, people ask me who's my favorite Beatles. My order would be John, Ringo, George, and Paul. I never cared for Paul McCartney. I don't know why. Maybe I always liked the John Lennon, the harder edge. But that would be if you had to pick the first four, what would be your order, Rick?
Well, I would go with Paul McCartney and John Lennon right there, 1, 2. I think Paul was kind of like, if you watch Let It Be, you could see he was kind of the, how would I say it the right way? I don't want to say the brains, but he was the one that had the vision of how a song should be. John Lennon was great, don't get me wrong, and he had his own vision of how his song.
Sure.
George Harrison wrote some great songs.
Absolutely.
But he learned a lot from just being around Lennon and McCartney. And, you know, you could see how he felt like kind of snubbed as he became a better writer. But I think they kind of looked at him like he's the little brother, go away, you know?
Yeah.
But and Ringo seems to me like he was probably the nicest guy in the band, and a very.
He's the one that when they were, and I'm correcting. Thank you, Albert. Ringo did not quit during the Let It Be sessions, but he still collect during the White Album. He was still walked out in '68. That's how bad it was getting, even before they recorded Let It Be. But the point I'm trying to say is that's how much tension it was, and it had to be to the point where, I mean, people keep saying you're the greatest rock and roll band in the world. Everything you do is touching the gold. And I don't think they've had, if you look at their career, they didn't have a disaster. They didn't have a disaster music-wise till Magical Mystery Tour, and that was the movie, not the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Everything they touched, every movie, every album came out. I mean, my favorite Beatle album of all time is Rubber Soul. And that's just me, right? Unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I also think that a lot of the music that came out in the solo albums was basically written and was going to be in the next Beatles album.
Sure.
And then when they broke up, I think then they used these really good songs in their own solo works. So
I mean, if you think about when in the 70s when they all came out with their first solo records, right? I mean, Paul had Band on the Run. George had My Sweet Lord, if I'm correct. John had Mind Games or something like that. Ringo had what was a cover of Year 16, which Ringo's album, the very first solo album, outsold the other three guys' solo records. So imagine Band on the Run and Imagine and My Sweet Lord and all that stuff on like the next Beatle album, or that would have been like really, oh, wow. Well, that would have been amazing if that all put together,
Right. So,
Yeah.
but I, getting back to your question, do you think that they would have gotten back together? I think they might have. I think they might have, maybe a studio album, maybe. I don't know if they'd perform live again, but can you imagine? Yeah.
It would have been unbelievable. And I know I want to do some other kudos if I can. We've been there's something called the Josie Awards that happens in Nashville. This is the 8th year. And for the last 3 or 4 years, Nick Sahajas, a songwriter of the year, won last year. Ronnie B. Elvis, Elvis impersonator. But this year, Nick Sahajas is nominated for the songwriter of tribute artist of the year. Nick is. Ronnie B. is nominated in the tribute and songwriting artist with Joe Dex. So I wish you guys success. And I don't know how this happened, but they nominated me for radio, for the media part. And so we're all going October 23rd to Nashville at the Grand Ole Opry. And I know Ronnie won last year, who's watching. Congratulations. I know Nick Sahajas won last year. It's a fluke. I think they might have just thrown a pin at something and it just landed on my name because I don't even know why I'm nominated. But God, it was unbelievable to be at the Grand Ole Opry and sit there in the audience to watch that on Sunday, October 23rd. So we're excited about that. But go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
I'm happy for Joe Dex. He's the lead guitarist of the Cave Dwellers. And after we kicked Chris Minardi out, then we had to get somebody.
And it was funny because I never met Joe before, and I met Joe at, you're gonna laugh. Wait a minute, you were there too, Rick, when we were doing the honeymooners. Remember the honeymooners night at Mike Bricklier's house from the Good Plea Fund. Invite us over to watch old honeymooners shows, and we had food and we had cocktails, and we just sat to like a bunch of young kids watching the shows that we've seen 100 million times, laughing. And it was you, me, it was Rick, it was me, it was I think Chris Minardi, Mike, Joe was there, a couple other guys were there, but it was so nice. I think we need to do that again. That was a lot of fun. Honeymooners party, that's it.
That was really fun.
That was fun. Rick, how many years have you been married? We got a few. We're actually over time, but I'm going to ask you, how many years have you been married to your lovely wife?
Kathleen and I have been married since October 28th of 2000. So we're coming up on 22. We've been together 23 years.
And in the business, Rick, and I think I've asked you this before, is it hard? When you were out doing all these different projects, because you were out all the time when you're doing this stuff, and a lot of times you bring her with, which is great. But it's got to be hard? Maybe some new guys that just got married and they're in this business. Give us some advice.
I think I know she's been supportive of everything I've done, including my baseball playing, my baseball writing, the band, and now the acting. She works with me on some of the scenes that I do. I'm putting together a selfie scene, and she plays the other person, whether it's a guy or a woman. And so she's very, very supportive. I think that it is so important to have, if you're married or involved with, you have a mate, that person is supportive. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable. It's going to be
kudos to the wives and girlfriends and husbands and boyfriends for the entertainment, men and female entertainers that are making us happy. Remember, it took me 4. I'm on number 4, so I finally got the right one. So I've been very fortunate. It's almost time for us to go, but before we go, folks, I got to throw out some birthdays. Natalie Landy, great saxophone player, of course. She's with Nick Sahajas' band. She's also going to be in our band on the 29th. Happy birthday. My good friend Karen Germanis. Marco Ramonde. Happy birthday, Marco. Tom Peterson, 8-string and 12-string bass player for the band Cheap Trick, celebrates a birthday. Lucia Carmel, happy birthday. Bono from U2 celebrates a birthday. Paula Doty, the wife of Carl Doty from St. Jude's. We love you guys. Paula, welcome very much. My good friend Laura D'Antona up in Florida, happy birthday. Very much so, very cool. The great Don Rickles, Mr. Mean. I got to open for Don many, many times. Celebrates a birthday. Roseanne Caputo, your son Philip. Happy birthday to your son Philip so much. Very good. And Dave from Sam and Dave. What a duo that was. Celebrates a birthday as well. It has come down to the end, folks. Before we go, let's thank Patriot Funding Incorporated, ladies and gentlemen, one of our last sponsors. When timing is everything, Patriot Funding Incorporated. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Commercial property, money lending at its finest. His name is Dave Antonelli. He's local out of Roselle, Illinois. He's a great guy. Call him at 630-675-4730. And listen up, thank you. Every show is brought to you by our good friends from McCampbell Law Group. Roy McCampbell, attorney at law, statewide law practice that is client-focused and results-driven. He's a great guy, great lawyer, honest, and he's going to do the right job. 708-275-4264. Rick, my good buddy from the Cave Dwellers, what do you guys got coming up? Any dates before we say goodbye? What do you got coming up?
Yeah. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Brendan Oakes. He plays my son in the Dream Ledger. I left
Brendan,
him
how
off
you doing,
the
buddy? Good.
Oh, he's doing so great. He's killing it. He's doing so good. I'd like to say kudos to my wife, Kathleen, again. And we're the Cave Dwellers coming up. We have on June 4th, we're going to be at Dunkley's Tavern in Addison.
Nice place. Yeah, very cool.
We're doing a benefit with Jimmy Sands, Joe Cantafio, the New Colony Six, for the Dick Biondi film. It's going to be in June 16, and then we're playing the Villa Park Festival on June 18, and we're going to have Stephanie Briniger with us singing.
Oh, so she's fantastic. What a voice she has. Absolutely. Well, you know what? I'm telling you, Rick, thank you so much for being on the show again and your friendship and what you do. And you and Kathleen go out and support local entertainers, which is so cool because you guys can go anywhere you want and, on your days off and stuff. And you choose to come some places, and you've seen me a few times, and I appreciate it. And I hope one day I can get a day off to come and see you guys because you guys are just, thank you for what you do for Chicago, and thank you for dude. I just do appreciate it. Everybody, let's give it up for my good buddy Rick from the Cave Dwellers. And maybe Rick, you might want to plug that or do a post of that on your page. Let people know and share me and tag me so people can know and let me know.
Okay.
You got it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Check the website, TonyOceanMusic.com, and give us a call at 847-769-8609. Tomorrow, Avanzar in Lombard. Thursday, Positanos in Oak Brook. Friday, Chicago Prime Steakhouse. Saturday and Sunday, Ron Onesti Speakeasy. And the big show, Sunday, May 29th, celebrating 30 years in the business. We got a lot of good stuff happening there that day. I'm excited. Sunday, May 29th. Get your tickets at oshows.com. Guys, in the great words of Ringo Starr, peace and love. Peace and love. Support local entertainment and support local establishments. That's what about. Thank you. I'm off to go see my buddy Donnie Morrison. We're going over to the Village Tavern for a few before my rehearsal tonight with Nick Sahajas and the boys. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless you all for all the nice things that you said about and texts and prayers and stuff for my future son-in-law, Eric, who's doing much better. Thank you guys so much for that. Mary Tark, George, we miss you up there. I love you, my brother. All right, guys, thank you so much. And Nick Sahajas is going to take us with a song he wrote for us as our closing song. Good night, everybody. Have a great day. Oceans.
Thank you, Tony.
Time to go. It's the end of the show. See you later from Tony O.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Rick. Have a great day, everybody.